Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. And this is one of those rare episodes where I had to re-record. You would think like 2050 some almost 2060 episodes, and I maybe had to re-record 4 times, I think. That's pretty crazy. But the interesting part is I started off so I had to re-record because audio is completely unusable. But regardless, it's funny. It's not funny. That's a weird statement. I started off the first time saying I don't know what to talk about, and then I had a lot to talk about. That's always the way it is. But the truth is, I don't know what to talk about going forward. I'm trying to figure that out. Maybe you can help. So, I could be reviewing a book right now. I finished a book on Monday or Tuesday. I could be reviewing that right now. And I'm currently reading another book, which I'll probably finish by tomorrow, and then I'll probably read another book on this weekend. Whatever. I've been reading a lot. I think you know that. But I'm taking a pause. Just flooding the channel with book reviews is not helping anybody. I much prefer to get back to talking about just like life stuff. The problem is, my life is really good. I know that's a weird thing to say as a problem, but the fact of the matter is, I'm doing really well. Mentally, financially, romantically, emotionally, it's all good. And for the first 7 years or 8 years of this show's 7 years of this show's existence, that was not the case. And so I was constantly talking about me struggling or me. And don't get me wrong, I'm positive that negativity or that whining or that woe is me, attitude had a lot to do with the lack of growth. It's had a lot to do with me losing subscribers over the last 5 years. Because I'm not really talking about fun, exciting things. Because my life isn't fun and exciting. It's actually really boring. And boring in a really good way. Boring in a way that means I've read 30-something books since January 1st. Because why not? Right? And so I started thinking about where my life. So the past calendar year, it's been very strange. In 22, I got or maybe that was 21. That's 20. Whatever. I got my PMP. I got my pay raise. I got out of debt. I still owe debt on this house, but that's it. Everything else is paid off. All of my credit is clear. I've cleared up. I had still a few $1,000s that I owed in credit, and I got all that handled. It's gone. That all has happened in the last year. So the last calendar year. In 22, I started that process. I was bored with my job. We were doing these really mundane, menial tasks that were not engaging me intellectually. And so I reached out to a friend who was in need of a developer, and I said I'd like to help. And I started working on a product, and that was going very well for the fall of 22. But then my life got better, and then the spring happened, and my personal life got busy. My work life got busy. We started to pick up new projects that were interesting, that were not the tedium that I had been feeling the year before, like an entire year before. And so my interest in the side project just completely. I was still very interested in it. I just didn't have time for it, like mental time, physical time, sure. Mental time, I can only contribute so much of myself on a daily basis to things that aren't mine. Right? I like to work on things that are mine, like this. And so my life got busy with my kid doing all the activities they were doing last year. My oldest going to college, softball, all that sort of stuff. It's all happening again right now. But I feel much less overwhelmed. Last year I was very overwhelmed. And so by the fall of last year, I was let go from that project. It was presented to me in a way that the company couldn't. There was no budget for me. I also wasn't contributing. Like, I was doing a very minimal amount of hours. I was just trying to do bug fixes that I could do. I just didn't have the time for it. My life would completely 180'd from 2022. 2023 was like a full pivot. I went from being bored and not busy to very busy and very not bored. Intellectually, I was feeling challenged, and things were working out for me. Financially, I was suddenly fine. I didn't need any of the money that I made doing the side job. Like, that was just money. I ended up giving a lot of it to my kids for, whatever. But I also ended up saving it. And so last year, I basically got fired from that job, from that side job, but I picked up Portal as a client. I am Portal Games US again, but only in a contract basis. I'm not an official employee. I mean, I'm on the payroll as a contractor, and that has been helping me in a lot of ways. Financially, sure, I guess I take a very small salary from that position, and it's just enough to make it worth everybody's time, enough for them to trust me with my decisions, that sort of thing. But I'm not saying you need to pay me so much done, because I don't put that much effort into it. But here we are now. So coming around to the start of 24, suddenly I don't need anything. My life is great. I'm feeling really good. I've been able to travel and see the world, literally, things I never imagined I'd be able to do. And suddenly I have savings. Yesterday, I opened up a money market account, which is a special type of savings account that actually earns interest. My local bank, the bank that I've been using since I was an adult, their money market account is earning 2.5% right now, which isn't very much. But compare that to a traditional savings account, which is 0.1%. It's significant. And this money that I've been saving, I've been working up to save a certain amount. It just so happens that certain amount that I've been trying to save is the exact amount I need to have in that account to not incur penalties, service fees, whatever. So I have that now. I open the account, put all that money in there. It's intended as a safety net. It's intended as building towards future projects. My parents just had a roof put on their house. That cost them $14,000. Like I have to think about that. I've never been able to think about that before. For my entire adult life, it was, I have $100 in the bank. I could afford a $100 emergency, but there was no way I could afford it. I need to replace the roof on my house without taking out a loan or begging or selling stuff or whatever. So I have that now. I have a growing savings that will help me plan for the future. And I've been trying to teach my kids about that because that's important. Like, hey, kids, think about this. Yes, does dad have money sitting in the bank? I do. That's not spendable money. That money is there for particular reasons. Here's the line items: roof on the house, whatever, car, and things that I need in the future. I need to have money in reserve. That's lessons they've never learned. But the point of all this is, I'm sitting here at the start of 2024, and suddenly, I'm not doing the side work that I was doing. I'm doing new side work, but it's a very minimal amount of my time. I'm taking meetings twice a month, meeting with the team in Poland a few times, working on, going to shows, planning shows, volunteers, all that sort of stuff. But that's really about it. Not intellectually deep stuff, but it's emotionally and very rewarding for me because I'm helping my friends. I'm helping keep that alive, that dream alive, that dream of really succeeding in the U.S. market alive. And so that's very fulfilling. But the rest of it, I've just been reading books because I've been writing a book, but I've stalled a little bit on that. I was hoping by the end of March to have the first draft done. Not going to happen. It's been iffy in my head. I'm working on it. I have been working on it. I've been putting words on page, but it's not. It's nowhere near where it needs to be right now. I'm months behind, basically. But I'll get that. I'll get it. It'll happen. I'll just keep plowing through it, and eventually it'll make sense, or eventually it'll either work or it'll make sense so that when I go back and rewrite it, it'll be a much cleaner, much faster process. But my life has been so good, I don't know what to talk about. When I used to come down here and say, I don't have anything to talk about, and then I start talking, I always found that I had stuff because there was looming pressure on me from a whole bunch of different angles because financially, emotionally, intellectually, there was a whole lot going on that was just like, you need to focus on this, and I couldn't, and so I talked about it. And so this became my therapist for the last 8 years. I don't have that anymore. Like there's no pressure. Everything is freaking fantastic. Um, and so I've been trying to figure out, where do we go from here? Like what's the plan? Is the plan to just read books and talk about them? No. Like that's happening right now just because. Just because that's where I'm at. But I'd like to figure out a way to bring back some sort of daily conversation. The problem is I'm not really aware of what's going on in the world right now. I haven't been using social media for like 6 months now. 5 months. I basically just stopped using it. Like, I don't need it anymore. So I don't even know what's like. I don't have news to talk about. I don't have anything. So where do we go? Where does a boring ass, privileged white guy that works from his couch, where do I go? Where do I take this? What do these daily conversations become other than just me telling you the same stories over and over again? There has to be something. There has to be some way to involve people, and I don't know what that is yet. So I'd like your thoughts, your help, whatever, your questions, whatever it might be. I'm trying to piece together, where do we go from here? Because I want to keep going. I really enjoy this. It's a fun little hobby. But I feel like if I turn the camera on every day and just say, my life is awesome, that's not great either. It's not any better than turning the camera on and saying, I'm really struggling and here's why. For those of you that stuck around for all the years of I'm really struggling and here's why, I cannot express my gratitude to you. Several of you have contributed financially to keep me stable, and that, that feels amazing. But there's got to be, I think there's got to be some growth here, and I got to figure out what that is. So let me know. Thoughts and ideas. Put them in the comments. Or questions. I like questions. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is umbra. It's a noun meaning a planet's shadow, especially the shadow of Earth upon the moon. A solar eclipse is caused by the Earth passing through the moon's umbra upon the sun. Umbra. U-M-B-R-A. I thought that all shadows had umbras and like penumbras and some other kind of umbra. Penumbra's not in here. Is that not true? Is it particularly a planet shadow? I thought like my shadow had an umbra.